got drafted already. You didn't pay attention to the draft? Well, ain't that in your job description? Whatever, man. Matt Millen?
Time to get to the point. We're going to keep talking about this year's NFL draft. And to do that, I bring in my man, Cecil Lammey of Footballguys.com. Cecil, what's good with you?
How you living, man?
I'm living good. I'm living good. You see the set? You see everything? I'm living well.
I love it.
All right. Let's get into this draft. Let's start with the first two picks. JaMarcus Russell, Calvin Johnson. How do you see these guys, their careers panning out? Are they, deserving of all the accolades that they've been getting coming into the draft?
Oh, definitely. JaMarcus Russell, hands down, the only franchise quarterback in this draft. Yes, that's right, Browns fans. It's not Brady Quinn. It's JaMarcus Russell, the guy that's going to get it done. Cannon of an arm. Al Davis says this guy is like John Elway. He said that at the owner meetings down in Arizona. You know Al wasn't going to pass on a guy like that. JaMarcus Russell can do it all. Now, he's not Dante Culpepper. He's not going to run for 700 yards. But what he is doing, he's going to move around well in the pocket. He's going to throw well on the run. He's got great instincts, and he can fire the ball all over the field. As far as Calvin Johnson goes, the Lions had to take this guy, even as a receiver, even with Matt Millen. They had to take this guy because he is the prototype. Everything that you want a wide receiver to be in the NFL, that's exactly what Calvin Johnson is. And when breaking down film on this kid, the only bad thing I can say about him is he didn't catch everything.
Right. It's just one of those things where he's a no-brainer. Now, I don't know if JaMarcus is going to be, the franchise quarterback that the Raiders are looking for him to be because it's the Raiders. But yet and still, I think that when you look at this kid, he's probably got all the upside that you want. He's got all those intangibles that you want. Big quarterback, should go well for him. Let's keep it local though. Let's talk more locally, the Broncos. First and foremost, give me your overview of the Broncos draft. They take Moss first, Crowder second, an offensive lineman in Harris from Notre Dame, and then Marcus Thomas. What did you think about the Broncos draft overall?
This draft was not sexy.
No, it was not.
For the Broncos by any means.
No sex appeal.
No sex appeal, like Shanahan in a thong, really. Basically, this draft was solid, yet unspectacular. When you look at the guys that they got, I think moving up for Moss was a mistake. Their intel must have told them something different. I thought for sure he would be there at 21. They move up and get him at 17. But really, the guy that you want to talk about in this draft, it's going to be Marcus Thomas. If he hits a fourth-round pick with a first-round grade, if he stays away from the
trouble, because that's what he got, booted off of the Florida squad. So, with the way that Roger Goodell is going with things, is that a smart thing to do, to bring in a guy with a troubled past?
And trade up for a guy with a troubled past. Now, this kid went to the Texas versus the Nation game, really impressing scouts, impressing NFL personnel, saying, hey, I messed up. Now it's my time to redeem myself. He's taking drug tests each week. And he says, I'll give back my signing bonus if I have a hot test.
He'll give it back.
Give it back.
Nobody gives back money, Cecil. I mean, we're not paying you for this, but even still, you wouldn't give it back if we asked for it, would you?
No, probably not. It's already spent. What are we talking about?
Okay, so out of that draft class, though, out of those guys that they were able to bring in, who is the impact player for the Broncos in that draft class that could immediately come in and pay off dividends?
It's got to be Moss. This guy will come in and get double-digit sacks if he lives up to the hype, the potential, as we know, a dirty, filthy word.
You got to do this when you say hype. You got to hype.
Okay, hype. Yeah. He has to live up to it. He has to come in and get double-digit sacks on that defensive line. Moss is a guy, you ask him to do one thing and one thing only, that's rush the passer.
Go get him.
If he does not go get him, then it's a bust first and foremost.
And the Broncos have had trouble, with their draft picks. They haven't fared so well in the draft, and the ones that they did have, they weren't able really to hold on to, so we'll look to see that. All right, so I want to know from you, the guy from Footballguys.com, which one team did the best in this year's draft, and which one team in your estimation did the worst?
Well, there's a couple teams that did the worst, but let's start with the best, the Carolina Panthers.
Accentuate the positive.
Definitely, always positive thinking right here. The Carolina Panthers getting John Beeson in the first round, great linebacker, University of Miami. Following that up with Dwayne Jarrett, wide receiver, USC. Following that up with Ryan Khalil, center, USC. Following that up with Charles Johnson, defensive end from Georgia. I had Charles Johnson going in my mock draft, which went quickly out the window the way this draft happened. I had Charles Johnson going to Denver with the 21st pick. They get Charles Johnson in the third round.
You talking about Charles Johnson fifth down? Charles Johnson from CU? Charles Johnson? That Charles Johnson?
Not that Charles Johnson.
That. Okay, sorry about that.
And not the other Charles Johnson either. This is Charles Johnson from Georgia, great defensive lineman, and he had a first-round grade from a lot of scouts out there. The Panthers get him in the 3rd round, and their second-day guy that I love, Ryan Robinson, this kid from Miami of Ohio, played with Big Ben Roethlisberger, and possibly the most dangerous return man in college football history.
No Devin Hester, this guy.
It's this guy, Ryan Robinson, great kick returner. I call this the Devin Hester effect. That's why Ted Ginn went at number 9, because these guys that can return the kicks,
have
we saw the impact.
On the game. So who had the worst? Who had the worst draft?
Either my beloved Steelers.
Your beloved Steelers.
Who did not do so very well, let's put it that way, going with the guys that don't fit the system they have in place, specifically Lawrence Timmons. This guy has no side-to-side ability, great athlete, great guy that can run a 40 and looks good at the combine, passes the eyeball test, but not a guy you want to put into the 3-4 in my opinion. The team that had the worst draft, hands down, has to be the Tennessee Titans. They obviously have no idea what they're doing. First off, taking Michael Griffin, the safety from Texas, who makes a lot of plays.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's for the other team. And then following that up with Chris Henry, we talk about, Mike Mamula and the combine stars.
Not much substance.
No instinct coming from Chris Henry. This guy, 3.3 yards per carry at Arizona, and Mike Bell kept him on the bench. Yeah, exactly.
Now, Cecil Lammey, he keeps all that in his mental Rolodex. So he's bona fide. Cecil Lammey of Footballguys.com. Thank you for the time. Now, when we come back on Raw Sports, Sam and I uncork our mock draft. Did Rashaan Salaam